What's up, everybody? Back again, Warp Charge Gaming. I'm George, and I'm here with Chris and the Tyranid Codex. That I guess is still going to be relevant for a little while.
It's never not been relevant.
If you guys aren't familiar, tabletop wargaming, Warhammer 40K is what we talk about on this show quite often. Every time even. And Chris, I don't know if you know it, but it's episode 104, so apparently this time is the official 2-year
Oh
episode.
My God, we've
Pretty
been
cool.
doing this forever.
Yeah, a lot of stuff's been happening. Right now, it's fun to, if you look at some of the milestone episodes we've had, we have ones where we're like right when we went to Adepticon, so many FAQs have dropped between here and there, new additions when we went from 7th to 8th. Well, we didn't necessarily, we were not doing talk shows between 7th to 8th. It was about the time that this was all formulating, though.
So, yeah, Warp Charge, at least my invitation in terms of, like, everything getting coordinated, even when Mr. Lob was, a regular with us, was during our first Nova, I believe, which was the first 8th edition Nova.
Yeah, it was the kickoff of the whole edition in general. I think it was like during the summertime, like during the June-July period is when 8th like dropped, and it was only a few months into not very many folks had an opportunity to even play 8th edition yet by the time Nova had hit.
We've been planning to attend Nova that year regardless.
That's right.
You were tuning up your 7th edition list specifically for that. I recall even having FAQ questions go back and forth with Nova organizations, and then they kind of pantsed everybody, and we're like, guess what, 8th edition?
Yeah, and that was back in the start of 8th. Can you believe it? The summoning was free back then, right? That was true.
There's so much that was at the start of 8th. You used to be able to turn 1 deep strike with everything. There was no rule of 3.
Yeah.
Conscripts were 3 points per model.
Yeah. And then the fucking 4-up involns on the brimstones. Remember that? 3-point brimstones that were 4-up involns, and everybody was like trying to spam brimstones out the ass.
Malefic Lords.
Yeah, well, Malefic Lords, that too, which were only 35 points, I believe.
I think it may have been 30, but I could be wrong.
Just stupid cheap. And they had a better profile than a Herald. They had a 4-up invuln. They got pissed off when they fought. Like if they did wounds or killed something, they got even better back then. I don't think their profile abilities have really changed.
They went up in points.
They just went up in points, yeah. Otherwise, their rules are relatively the same. Did Captain Andrew say that's when he started there?
He flashbacks. Said before his time.
Ah, gotcha, yeah. Yeah, it was a special time period, but that's about when Warp Charge got started. And I remember being so inspired from that first Nova we went to that I was like, I have to do this. I love this world, this community, this lifestyle, and sought you and James to join me and Connor to try to make all this stuff pop up. And ever since then, lots has happened, and lots happening right now just in the craziness of the world. And I'm glad to I've been wanting to, for the last, pretty much all day, I've been excited to have the talk show just to kind of zone out and think about everything that's going on in the gaming world. There's so much craziness going on outside, obviously, and I hope everybody's doing okay out there,
In memoriam 8th edition, force them out for our fallen models.
Yeah. But man, there's a lot happening in real life. There's a lot happening in our wonderful gaming world here. 9th edition coming, new Necrons, new books are about to drop, and we're getting all these teases from GW. We just
monsters.
Yeah, Mike Brandt just they had a little caricature of him showing us a preview into the new 9th edition missions, and a little bit into the army construction. Nice, Captain Andrew. He says everything Warhammer and whiskey is what he's trying to fill his feed with. Good effort. You have to try hard to do that. Let's see here. So I'm just gonna pull up some shit on the screen. We had a lot. Chris and I actually played Infinity this past week.
It was. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I had a good time. It's a fun game. It's. I'm still very green. There's a lot of stuff in the game that I have no idea. Like I haven't gotten to interact with tons of things. But you know what? It didn't super blow my mind, but I can tell just out of my intro game, the game has a lot of legs to stand on and a lot of potential.
Hell yeah.
That I'm yet to see.
Yeah, because James isn't here yet. We don't want to. James will jump on in a minute, guys. We don't want to bore him too hard. Let's slow down on 9th edition for a second, And we'll talk about that when James jumps in. Let's talk a little bit more about Infinity, Chris, because I'm still curious about your experience, and I want other people to know too. But one thing I want to give you credit for, and a little bit on my end for being the coach, is that we got through an entire 300-point game in Infinity. It's like teaching somebody for the first time how to play 40K and playing a 2,000-point match with a serious army.
Yeah, we got through that honestly in less time than we usually get in a full game of 40K.
Yeah, exactly. And like we actually had a game. Like Chris almost won, and like it was a last minute, like down to the wire action that pulled it off. And we had real firefights and real instances. We went through a lot of mechanics of the game that I was excited that you got to see. That usually is stair-stepped into when you're teaching somebody. Usually, like when you show somebody their first game, it's half those points, and they never see a fire team. Right out the gates. That's a complicated thing to get used to, but it's a very big part of the camouflage is another crazy thing in that game, and to introduce it right out the gates is pretty cool. So hats off to Chris. He was picking it up left and right, no struggles, and I was really enjoying the environment that Corvus Belli provides in Tabletop Simulator. I was showing Mike a little bit too, Chris, and I just think it's fun because you have to do so many comparative die rolls in Infinity. And it's fun to be able to roll those dice right next to each other and quickly be able to see what beats out what.
Yeah.
And I know that was a thing that you found a little disorienting, was whenever there was moments where you had such heavy modifiers against you that you were literally seeking to roll like 1s and 2s and it didn't feel good.
So, well, my big thing is it's just like, like in most games, like, like internally in your head, it's like, oh, like I rolled high, that's good, or I rolled low, that's bad. And like, I will grant Corvus Belli there's kind of a cleverness to because you hit on rolling under a certain number. So like a 1 is a hit, but it sets you up for some kind of like dramatic moments, kind of like these like pitch moments in 40K or other dice games where it's like I got a success, but it's such a bad success that my opponent can blow it out of the water.
Yeah.
So there's a chance for some back and forth in that regard. There is a strength in that, I see. What I do like about the modifiers, and this is something that I characterized in the 40K chat afterwards, most of the modifiers in that game, like it seems kind of disorienting because it's like, oh, -3, -6, but every -3 on a D20, realistically speaking, is about 16%, 15% technically. So that's actually about the same change as a dice spacing in 40K if you're like processing those kinds of metrics.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So if you're kind of like, if you're looking to get that parallel, like it's there, and there's definitely a lot of coolness, in being able to like I was a big fan, and this is something like not to hop right into 9th edition, but like the terrain rules in Infinity are there. Like they have some really good interactive cool stuff with navigating terrain. And,
the whole prone, and you didn't get to experience too much of like we talked about the Sixth Sense, where like if somebody's shooting you from behind and you have like a group of guys, you get to like look out for each other and you can turn around. That sense of awareness of a zone of control where you can actually hear things, because there's also ninjas and shit that can sneak up behind you and you never know they're coming and they cut you from behind kind of stuff. But we threw some smoke around. Here's a question that I get asked, Chris, that we got asked last week on the channel, I believe, and I always struggle to. Well, I know what I would say, but what do you say when someone asks, "Is Infinity like just souped up Kill Team?"
No.
Yeah, different game.
No, I think I look at Kill Team, and it's difficult because I feel like when I'm phrasing it the way I'm about to, it kind of makes Kill Team seem like a worse game than it is. But I look at Kill Team as kind of like a watered down version of 40K, which it's not really. It's different 40K on a smaller scale. Infinity is, I'd say, almost the same scale game in terms of mechanical complexity as 40K, just with less models. So in that respect, it feels like just as big and immersive as a game with 40K,
right?
Just in a smaller skirmish format, where I honestly feel like Kill Team, like you have to approach Kill Team very differently. It's a strategic game. It's not a like, checkers versus chess kind of game with 40K, but
I like that, dude. I like the idea that you're because I feel like I've started to become more like when I describe it to a 40K player, for instance, and I really like the 40K player perspective on Infinity. That's what kind of got me to jump off the cliff. Is there's actually some cool articles out there. If you just type in Infinity from a 40K perspective, there's been a few folk that have written actually on Frontline Gaming and other places of prominence, some cool articles, and it's just like, for instance, a lot of the stratagems and character abilities and aura synergies that we're used to in that kind of define our 40K strategy. They, instead of being stratagems and psychic powers and shit like that, it all lives more inside of the models themselves. So instead of like external rules that you put on your guys, they just have the rules internally, in a sense, a little bit more.
If you're looking for specific mechanics comparisons to a Games Workshop game, I think in a roundabout way, Infinity is actually most similar to the new Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because it has detachment-based activation. There's kind of like winning. I mean, Apocalypse doesn't have winning firefights, but like damage is calculated at a weird time interval such that it's not just as directly like, oh, I caused 5 wounds. That's it. You know what I mean? But Apocalypse is a little bit more of a sledgehammer than Infinity, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, for sure. There it's just tough because there's only just like pieces of similarities and not really full blown ones. And you know, the non-symmetrical boards is another. You know, we talk about terrain being so big of a deal. It's, you know, we're very used to cookie cutter like L's in the middle and our hills on the corners and shit like that on 40K tables. And Infinity is very dense and diverse and different looking tables. That are
also no pre-measuring.
Yeah, and the no pre-measuring, right? Very disorienting. Yeah, and it's, man, when you play it in real life and you're just used to touching your tape measure, it's a crazy thing to like slap your hand a lot of times, you know?
Well, and that's kind of like, you know, I only mentioned that because you mentioned the asymmetrical tables, and I think that's kind of what plays into them having very good terrain rules, is that, you know, they don't want the terrains to be like, oh, like grid, like this building is, you know, a perfect parallel street to this building. Like, you want things to be turned at weird angles specifically because it disorients that kind of measurement. And I mean, people that like old edition to 40K, there was no pre-measuring either. So like you were either good at that or not. But like it gets dicey at those moments where it's like, oh, this is right at 16 inches. You know, like my range is 16 inches. Like, ooh, like there was even one moment during our game where you had 2 guys jump out of a building, and I was like, I think they're out of range of me.
Yeah.
But it turns out they weren't out of range.
Yeah,
like,
but you chose the option that, you know, was like, hey, they're out of range, so I'm not going to take the chance.
Yeah, I literally chose not to gamble shooting at them because I was like, I'm pretty sure, because like if you try to gamble and measure at them, you know, you just don't get to shoot.
Right.
So I literally was playing conservatively at a moment that I didn't need to because
Yep.
I was like, I just don't feel like that's going to pay off for me.
Yeah.
But
super exciting, super fun. Yeah, I mean, for anybody that's watching that has gone through some Infinity games, you know, we went through fucking coordinated orders where we use command points to do multiple things at once. That's again a lot of just advanced concepts. We had smoke, we had combat, we had camouflage, surprise attacks, fire teams. You did nano pulsars. You had mimetism and no wound end cap and tag. you know, you had a big fucking knight model. You had super jump.
That thing did awesome. Like early game, it seemed like it could be like very bad in George's favor or against George's favor, where I just basically took my knight, ran upfield, and started waxing models.
Well, what was crazy is based on you literally you did exactly what you were supposed to do, and he just went and took over the board, put himself in a position. He got to see suppression fire, another great rule about Infinity, where he's just holding down gunfire in my position, and he was so up in my shit and had modified his range bands by going into suppression that now I couldn't move out of my starting deployment zone and get into because my better guns for fighting his giant knight was at a further range. I needed to be like outside of 16 to 32 inches was my best range band. But he was so up my shit I couldn't even begin to get into that movement. And so I had to rethink and come up with like a reactive game plan that wasn't just let me just shove my math versus your math. I carefully took the one model that I would have never grabbed this model on my first turn activation had I gone first with an assault, but needed to grab it as the first thing I touch in this reactive moment, where it was my pack handler that had a light smoke grenade launcher. So I was able to kind of just shoot. So I shot smoke to block all of his guys that were shooting cover fire at my lanes, and I tried to block it with smoke so that I could manipulate my guys around. And then what ended up happening is that when the smoke cleared, starting your turn, all your guys were now in my line of fire. So the moment you moved, I was going to be shooting you, and it was just totally cool. It's like it's a nice little tornado of awesome. Yeah, it is super cool, Cap and Andrew. Infinity is something that the gameplay is intense and thematic, and you're at the edge of your seat. You're constantly playing, right? You're never waiting for what your other player's doing.
Also, I'll say, especially because we're in this weird, like wormhole moment of 40K where it's like, oh my God, playing games at 40K almost doesn't matter because there's a new edition coming. That's almost like for anyone out there who's like, dude, like I just don't feel like playing 40K. Reach out into Infinity a little bit. Like it's a cool game to learn. I'm actually looking forward to playing with it some more. I don't expect it to ever replace 40K because there's no tier in it, but you know what? That's okay.
But massively affordable too, right? Like our buddy Matt Simon, he was talking about, he was starting to get hype on it. You probably saw a little bit of the conversation, Chris, and he was asking about some of the fluff. I was telling him about the lore of Ariadne, which I love myself and as an Ariadne player. And he wanted to play the Scottish, the Caledonians. And I whipped him up. I showed him a badass army that I think is really dope. 28 orders. Did you see that, Chris?
Damn.
Yeah, Chris and I played with 10 orders at our disposal, and these Caledonians, they can spam up to a shit ton. They can put out like 40 orders if they wanted to, but think how it's like playing a horde in a tournament setting. It's difficult, but that horde army was only $200, and like it's a totally a competitive top, you can win an event with this. And that's the thing, is that it's really all up to the general on what's at any, like we've looked at before on the channel, and I've shown you, Chris, the tournament scene inside of the competitive scene of Infinity, and the differences in percentiles of how close armies are to one another.
For anyone who's looking for one thing we constantly experience in 40K over multiple editions is creep. Certain armies will just get better. They had a chart of all of the factions, which is not a small amount of factions. And it seems like the plus or minus to 50% win rates, it has all these factions laid out. There only seems to be a variance of about 3 to 6%, plus or minus off of 50% line.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can dig it up live. It is really incredible how close it is.
It's the most losing faction is at 47% win rate, where the most winning is 53%.
Right, and when it was funny because we pulled these stats out right after LVO, because the LVO army faction split was hilariously different compared to Infinity, where it was huge margins. I found it, Chris.
Nice.
I think this is the. Yeah, I think I'm going to pull it up. Schwing. Battle victories. This was I feel like there was a bigger chart than this. But yeah, this just shows all the armies, and you can look over here on the percentiles, and you can see that they all have nearly a 50% win rate in the competitive settings over 6 months period worldwide. And this is the thing, is that the company tracks the tournament results. It's not the ITC. It's not ran by the people. The company actually cares about their crowd and has a world finals at their main headquarters and gives out recognition and giant prizes to the people that do the best in the game. And the thing is that it's you can see here how many the battles that were played and what armies are kind of more popular. And even with the lower numbers of players and things like that, there's still about the same win-loss ratio. And again, if you look at 40K, it's just absurdly different.
Well, and I will say, you mentioned Corvus Belli's company has a much more direct hand in the competitive scene and whatnot. I mean, with the head of Nova now moving towards 40K, I mean, he's now a salary employee. And
totally.
Just looking at the change in mission structures, they are moving to missions almost directly ripped out of ITC/Nova.
Well, that's very topical, Chris. Because I was right before I got on, I was reading from that Reese and Frankie from Frontline Gaming were a part of creating the mission packet. Mm-hmm. Some of the head guys from the ITC, the founders, and they're looking to adopt the rule set. for the ITC to make a uniformed, that's something that's been talked about as a necessary component of being a truly competitive game. And I think that they're finally trying to actually step into that and be able to say that affirmatively with people like, the ITC and Mike Brandt's help. And I'm curious to see how that works out. Like, literally, is it going to be that's what happens? Are we got the new ITC going to be playing these GW missions and, all that?
We definitely know that there's, I think there was like, you can score a max of 15 points of secondaries. Every mission is going to have primaries. The secondaries are all player picked. So whether or not it's, it's not going to be the exact same missions we've seen in Nova or, like anything. Like even the mission they teach, it's not the same. However, it's in the same school, the same philosophy. And even Games Workshop has said, like, hey, like, we want you to build your army towards, doing what your army does, not walking into a mission and just having an uphill foot slog because the mission is disadvantageous.
Absolutely. We have, so I guess they gave us some previews here.
They gave us a few.
And I guess part of the weirdness is that right before we got on, you were talking about how dude on the competitive 40K was just posting how he thinks he measured the chart with his computer and was finding that it to be like a 6x5.
Oh, 5x4. So that's actually speculation, but like that's a big thing.
5x4. Yeah.
One of the things we're seeing is the mission they teased. It looks like all of the pre-measured distance corresponds like. The background is like graph paper where there's blocks and it's like, it's like a 6-inch line and it says 6 inches.
I'm going to pull it up as you describe that, Chris. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it looks like every single block in this mission they've teased for us, which is one of the missions, every single square is an inch by an inch. And if you count up all of them, which this individual did, the board would only be 4 feet by 5 feet, which means that means 40K cables would be getting smaller for this new edition. Granted, this is purely speculative. There is no measurement off the objectives to the board edges, but we may see games shift to a 5x4 board for all we know. For all we know, this may even be mission specific. I mean, maybe now different missions will have different measurements.
I like Matt Howell's. He's like, FLG just released a new 6x4 mat. Okay, good point. Matt Howell comments, he's like, because GW's been good at having attention to detail. It's very true that they probably gave two shits about whether this was a true rectangle or not that was to scale.
Honestly, I agree with that completely.
That's the probably way more likely thing. I don't know why my mind wasn't going to that, but he's true. And he mentions that the Frontline Gaming just released a new 6x4 mat to take it a little further. I just thought for like Legion, for instance, I believe they play on a 6x3 and they have all these cards that they have to manage and shit and tokens and stuff. So it makes it would be weird if they went for the 6x4 and I don't think they are. I agree with Matt. I do want to say congratulations to Matt. I saw that you won the Command Point Invitational Kill Team Tournament. Good job, buddy. That was a long one. It was like, 6-7 rounds. It was a whole bunch of rounds that Matt went and took everybody down in. And I think he did with Necrons. Is that true, Matt? Holler out. Did you win that Command Point Invitational with Necrons? Yeah, good job, bud. It was really cool, guys. Command Point is a new content creators, I think based out of the New York, Pennsylvania area. They're northeast coast. Great guys, and they put on an awesome tabletop simulator kill team event. Krons, yeah, he played Necrons all the way to the top, dude. It was impressive.
He was channeling the new Dynasty rules. He was ready for it. He's feeling these new models incoming, and he was like, I'm going to take that energy and materialize a win.
It's super badass. If you guys look at for the Command Point on Twitch, I think you can check out the backlog video here. But yeah, Matt comes to a lot of. I played Matt personally. I met him for my first time at our second Nova, where I made second as Death Guard, and I played Matt in the finals. And then ever since I met him, he had come to our kill team tournaments at Battlegrounds for the last few years. So it's been great, and he actually told Command Point to hit me up to get involved with that kill team event. I had a lot of fun. So that's been cool. And we have a lot of content on our channel about when kind of the quarantine first kicked off of us playing the kill team. There is James Schaff. Do you see that, Chris? James is here with us now.
Holy shit.
Hi, James.
Dude, that just took me 20 minutes to get on.
Well, dude, we've just been, we took that opportunity to talk about Infinity since you weren't here yet.
We
Dude,
did.
I appreciate you guys being so considerate.
Yeah.
Me not being Zoom literate.
It's cool, dog. Yeah, we were like, let's fucking talk about Infinity. When James gets here, we'll get into the ninth.
We just barely touched into 9th,
Yeah.
and just barely.
By saying 9th edition.
We talked about how it may be that we're playing on 5x4 boards based off the one mission keys, but it's probably just Games Workshop fucking up measurements on their own image.
So how did you guys come to this conclusion?
Do you have the YouTube pulled up at all, James?
No, I do not.
Okay, that's okay.
I've been trying to get Zoom to work.
Well, I'm going to pull it up for the audience while I tell you, but Chris just broke it down for us too. A person on competitive 40K, in fact, I have it on the screen right now, Dan Sammons, this is totally relevant. It's hilarious because Matt just totally debunked it by being like, yeah, like GW's never had bad attention to detail. Like they're not. How many I have seen? Like if you look at Warcry fucking deployment maps, they are terrible at giving you accurate measurements on their actual board. Same thing with Kill Team. So it's
their
not.
editors notoriously catch nothing.
They notoriously fuck up these deployment zones. So it's to be assumed it's a 6x4. It's not a perfect rectangle though. By them showing us what 6 inches looks like on this fucking on this map, then you can put grid down and recognize what is kind of like a key on a map, like what is the 6 inches, like that equals this amount of little square footage here.
Okay, they have measured distances.
So the only measured distances that are on there besides the doctored red inch, like the red is, it's all from center. So it wouldn't even matter what size board you're playing on, and you can kind of follow those measurements.
But one of the points is like that little span of 6 inches is exactly 6 cubes. And the length of the board does not have enough cubes if that is a 1x1 inch cube for it to be a 6x4.
Kevin says, I'll show you what 6 inches looks like. Oh, man. Yeah, so
he's got to get him and his buddy together.
Yeah, so good shit. It's totally just way before I ever believed they're gonna change their size of their map. Frontline Gaming, we were just talking, James, about how they have been a part of making the new 9th edition mission packs. And Reese and Frankie have also as major playtesters for 8th edition have also been playtesting 9th, and they had a lot of input. And apparently the word on the street is that the 9th edition mission set will become the ITC mission set, which would be a whole new world for the competitive 40K scene as we had a unified mission pack. Because right now we have ETC, ITC. It's not just the ITC. And like when I talk to a lot of like Bobby Hall's messaged with him a lot from the UK, and I think it was Heretic up in Finland. Cats around there, Finland folks around Heretic, his buddies, they don't like playing ITC. They like playing ETC. And
they're still in a weird point in history though, because ETC, last I heard, I don't think they've done anything to kind of resurrect yet. I could be wrong.
Sure, but just once again, unification, and hell, even just like the idea of, I would hope that, I guess there's always going to be the divide between narrative and a competitive folks, but I think there's been even more blend of that line. Chris, you excited about something there?
You mentioned that. That's really interesting. So, they've mentioned campaign rules, not the campaign rules, the crusade rules. They can actually, as they've described them and as they've talked about them, you could use them at a tournament, like literally games 1 through 5. Now, I don't think you're going to see that a lot because literally that means, what they teased, it means some of your units may be hurt your second game or third game, and some of your units may have better war gear in game 2 or 3. But they are making a system that is compatible with tournament play that is kind of like army progression.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't think we'll see it, but it's cool to see that they are making it in such a manner
Well, I mean, when Battlegrounds does open back up, and there's been some folks asking about it in the comments, I was going to allude to here, but I know that William Lancaster, he's a big community leader of the 30K scene, and recently got back into his feet into Sigmar and 8th edition. And right when the pandemic kind of hit hard, they was beginning the start of a slow grow campaign, where they were going to do 4 single-day events where you went through many different games that progressed you through the campaign in single days over the course of the year. And he just announced, for instance, that that's going to be using those new Crusader rules. So here locally in Battlegrounds where we throw down for Warp Charge, you can play competitively while getting your narrative on with the new Crusader rules, and I think a lot of people will be adapting that as well. What's crazy, James? Have you gotten to see the leaks about army building and construction? Have you? I know you've been tied up with stuff.
God.
All right, so we got to break some news to him, Chris. I'm going to pull up some of the leaks for us, and basically, James, the big news here right now is it looks like at 2,000 points, which is
You get 12 CP.
You get 12 CP, and then
That's all I know.
well, so there's talk of how to get additional detachments and to get additional sub factions, it's going to cost even more CP.
Well,
we know on this leak here that whatever detachment your warlord's in, you get +3 command points. We know that.
But it's not even that you get +3. You just get whatever the detachment cost refunded to you.
Well, on the leak here, Chris, it says battalion detachment command benefits +3 command points if your warlord is part of this detachment.
Yes.
So it's
but
essentially the
that's
same. But you had mentioned that maybe the first battalion's free though, right?
So that's something I'm not clear on. I think your core, like your primary one detachment, the one you build your army around first, I don't think that costs you any CP. I'm inferring that based off what I've seen teased. They haven't outright said
Yeah, we
anything about that.
don't know. We don't know for sure.
Beyond that, every detachment you take will cost you CP out of your core detachments.
Yeah, so instead of gaining CP, they cost CP.
And today on their live stream, they used the example of taking an Imperial Knight with an Imperial Guard army, and Soup, they mentioned, is further penalized. They were talking about taking an Imperial Knight in an auxiliary super heavy detachment, which currently grants you 1 CP. As they were describing it, though, it costs you 1 CP to take that detachment, and a further 1 CP because it's not Imperial Guard, the Soup penalty.
Right.
So that Knight costs you 2 CP of your core 12 for souping.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, for sure.
Additionally, we know that at the start of every one of your command phases, which is the start of every turn, you generate 1 CP.
Yep. So even in
if
the late,
you hit 0.
Yeah, even in the late game, if you run out of CP, you're still going to have something to work with. Echo Mirage has the number of the detachments that has the Warlord has the CP refund.
Yes, that is correct, yeah. Echo. It's not every detachment refunds you. It's whatever one has the Warlord. But as per the battalion detachment...
I wasn't able to finish his sentence. He said, detachments after that do not get any CP refunded,
So if you kill the Warlord, no more CP?
We don't know that yet.
I think you get that refund at the start of the game, but I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, like the CP you get every turn. They didn't say anything about that being relative whether your Warlords are alive or not. In Kill Team, it's related to your leader being alive. It'd be interesting if they adopted that. They haven't said anything about that, though.
If they have, I didn't catch it.
Yeah. That'd be interesting, though.
It would be interesting.
So we got a little bit of, so we're under the impression, we haven't seen yet, we're assuming that we can take as many detachments as we can pay for, is what it sounds like. And so that is going to break we still don't know about the rule of 3, which is an exciting, hotly curious question, right?
Correct.
Ooh, take away the rule of 3.
You want to see it go, James?
Yeah.
Me too, honestly.
Okay. James, last week were we already ready to talk? We talked about the exalted demons and shit like that last week, didn't we?
No, we did not.
Oh damn, that happened. We got those leaks too.
Yeah, I briefly saw that the Bloodthirster is now viable. But beyond that, I have no idea.
Well, the main thing we got to one of the things that I've took note of from the Engine War Psychic Awakening that's coming next, that has the demon rules in it, is the Gazgul mechanic. We always talk about on the show new rules that are new to the game, and like the limited amount of wounds that Gazgul could take per phase was kind of a front and center new rule that wasn't just buried on some, because I think like some Forge World character had it or something, but now that is one of the abilities you can take for, say, a Bloodthirster. It seems like the new Psychic Awakening for demons is hailing that GW wants more greater demons on the table, and they basically gave us an exalted chart for each of the greater demons of the Chaos Gods. So the Keeper of Secrets, Great Unclean One, Bloodthirster, and a Lord of Change. One of the cool powers that one of the exalted things that the Lord of Change can do is actually an ability from Age of Sigmar called Spell Eater. And if you upgrade your Lord of Change to have the Spell Eater ability as an exalted Lord of Change, then anytime it's either like if your opponent fails or the Lord of Change denies a power. I think it's if he denies a power, then they forget that power for the rest of the game.
Sick.
So you can just take their powers away by denying with the Lord of Change.
Sick.
So that's pretty cool, but the complaint is, not everybody's happy with it. Like Jim Vessel was totally not stoked on it and stuff like that. Is mainly
why so?
He mainly just feels like the general consensus is that the Psychic Awakening is better rules than the GSC. The Gene Stealer Cult Psychic Awakening, like that's kind of the one that gets the poopiest end of the stick apparently, and it's just that the Demons one, it's so spread out, and just like instead of being kind of focused on doing something like giving you some like big bread winning abilities, it's like we're gonna give an ability to this, to this, to this. Like all the strats are not just like, instead of like some army wide style mechanics, it feels more like we're just going to go through every unit you have and give you one strat per unit. And they're not necessarily they're not revitalizing those units to the table. Even the brass, like even all the exalted abilities are complained to be that everyone would just take the defensive mechanics and never the offensive ones, just so they could keep the damn things on the board without getting killed. Because everything's just gotten that much more killy in 8th edition with the +1 to wounds and all the reroll capabilities that, these monsters are just going to get ripped off the board. Like hell, Space Wolves now have, by default, as long as they're Battle Forged, +1 to wound versus monsters and vehicles. And so it just seems like that you're going to have to just end up choosing the exalted traits that keep your models on the board, and it just doesn't feel that exciting because
I thought you can roll for 2.
Roll for 2 or pick 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be rolling every time.
Yeah. It just, I guess, like I personally have not. I'm mainly communicating the naysaying, not necessarily saying that that's my belief, because I personally really think that we have to see the new edition.
I saw one of my favorite memes to come out of that Demons book. Is that like it showed the Khorne Bloodletter stratagem alongside the Grey Knight stratagem, the Fight Upon Death stratagem.
Yeah.
And it's like the Grey Knight one costs one more CP, but like all of the models automatically get the Fight on Death. Where like the Khorne Bloodletters one, it's like you have to roll on a 4-up to see if like the model even gets the swing on a death.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah, James, we have it's 3 CP Bloodletter strat that when the Bloodletter dies on a 4-up, they can fight before they die.
Oh, that is so dumb.
Yeah.
Who would ever spin that?
I thought it was. I would like to believe and thought it was just that on a 3-up once you did the strat, you got to fight if you died. But if you got to roll a 4-up,
you got to roll for it. Like the meme I saw that was.
I remember the meme. Yeah.
It was like the dude that she says not to, or the dude that she says not to worry about or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's like the Grey Knight stratagem next to the Demons one.
Yeah. God damn it. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah. So there's that. It's basically, it doesn't seem like it's going to light the world on fire. Kevin Leonard says he loves the Blood Crusher stat, which is basically Age of Sigmar ported over. They have now that your Blood Crushers can, it's the same thing that Space Wolves got with the Crushing Assault. Spend 1 CP, and every one of your models that make it within an inch of another model, on the charge, you can roll on a 2+ and you cause mortals. Well, no, wait. I think they made it even saucier than that, though. They made it a little bit better. Now I'm wanting to read these demon strats again.
The Flesh Hounds or whatever, they got like a +2 to move and charge.
Flesh Hounds got another cool one that I do like. Yeah, +2 to charge and advance and charge.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But they can only get +2 though if if a unit was killed earlier in the round. So it's kind of tricky.
It's very tricky because that means in the shooting phase.
Yeah, here I just got
psychic phase.
I just got the leak pulled up on the screen here. Brass Stampede. For each model in the unit, you can select one enemy unit within 1 inch of that model. Yep, and roll a d6 on a 2+. That enemy unit suffers 1. Oh, this is why it's a little bit better. So in Sigmar, on a 2+, you do d3 mortal wounds as long as you have a Blood Crusher unit that has 6 or more models. In 40k, it doesn't matter how many models are in the unit. It's just that it's 1 mortal wound all the time and d3 mortal wounds if you roll a 6 on the 2+ roll. So if you have a unit of, let's say, a max unit of 12 Blood Crushers, you roll a bang and charge. They all 12 get within 1 inch of your target, and you spend 1 CP. On a 2+, you're going to do up to 12 mortal wounds, and on 6s you'll do D3 mortals. So it's not that bad. It's way better in Sigmar though, and just with the mechanics of Sigmar better. Because the reason being is in Sigmar we have a fucking blood tithe chart, dude, and my fucking favorite fucking Khorne blood tithe in Sigmar is to charge in the enemy's turn with Blood Crushers. So like the coolest thing is instead of you can summon with the chart like 1 blood tithe, 2 blood tithe, 3 blood tithe, or there's 8 different activities that you can do. And the first one is I get a command point for 1 blood tithe. The second one is that I fucking deny a power. Any power just denied for 2 blood tithes. Awesome.
That's pretty sick.
Fucking awesome. The third one is move in anybody's command phase. Move in anybody's hero phase or turn, basically. So the start of your enemy's turn, I'm going to move in your turn. And you could, like, say, fall back so that you could get Overwatch again or whatever. But for 4, you can charge. And what's awesome is, say, they charge you to stop your Blood Crushers from doing those mortal wounds on the impact. You fall back, and then as soon as it's their turn, you fucking charge them again, and it's great. It's very powerful, and it wins games. And I just in general love blood tithes, and it's so sad. That's what I'm sad about in general. We're talking about the Demon Psychic Awakening. I would have been so cool instead of the Exalted chart. I was praying that they would give us like Sigmar. In Sigmar, each of the Chaos Gods have a unique way that they summon and that they have abilities. You know, like the Tzeentch, every time they cast a power, and anytime your opponent casts a power, you get a fate point. And those fate points allow you to do things. That would have been awesome if they ported that over to 40k. For Nurgle, there's the contagion, the cycle of contagion. And every turn the wheel turns and something happens, like +1 to wound army-wide, +3 to your move army-wide. You know, extra -1 to hit to all your weapons. It's the cycle turns on the clock of contagion and different abilities happen. And you have psychic abilities that can change the location of the clock and shit. You know, they're fucking using the Gnarl Maws, those cool fucking Nurgle terrain pieces. Those should be
Feculent Gnarl Maws.
Yeah, that shit should be more in the fucking Blood Throne, the new Slaanesh terrain piece, the fucking Gnarl Maw tree. That should all be more ingrained into the, like, written into the rules to be on the table and not a fucking fortification detachment. You know?
Also, and this is something that we don't know yet with the new demon stuff, all the Slaanesh stuff was very focused on morale, which hypothetically means that it's prepping for 9th edition, but in 8th edition, not very good.
Yeah, morale is, yeah. That could be an interesting thing. Well, one thing, we saw a new strat where falling back, you can do mortal wounds to your enemy, right?
So this is a thing too, yeah, with new 9th edition on the way. They said today, they confirmed stratagems that still exist for both players. Command reroll still exists. Command interrupt, or combat interrupt still exists.
Yep.
Auto pass morale still exists. And they said that they're bringing in approximately 5 new stratagems that both players can use.
Cut them down. Core stratagems. Use the stratagem when an enemy unit falls back. Before any models in that unit are moved, roll 1d6 for each model from your army that is within engagement range of that enemy unit. For each result of a 6, that enemy suffers 1 mortal wound. So that's pretty cool. However many of your models are within range of their models, engagement range, maybe that means a model within an inch of a model within an inch, who knows? We haven't heard the term engagement range from GW before, and that might be one of those terminologies that kind of alludes to what they're describing. They said, no, this isn't going to be a 8-page rule book. We're going to go much more in depth with much more examples, and maybe this is one of those more definitive ways of talking about combat range.
Actually, kind of on that, today they confirmed in their live stream, tri-pointing will still exist.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they put that in their. Yeah, they put that in their article too. Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah, so I guess like imagine you got like let's say 20 Zangors, and you hit their screen. Like you kill the front thing, and then you pile into what's behind it, or consolidate into what's behind it, right? And you're touching as much shit as possible, so that when they fall back, you get to roll as many dice as possible with the cut them down stratagem. Seems reasonable to think about. It seems fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
That definitely encourages horde.
But it does encourage horde. Yep.
Yeah, it's going to help the orcs out for sure. Going to help Tyranids out.
Mm-hmm.
For the Gene Stealers, that's great for Gene Stealers.
Some bloodletters doing 3d6 charges.
Totally. So there's that. They showed us more. Oh no, what they showed us, I thought it was funny how they kind of cut off the full details of these secondaries here to keep the excitement, but they showed us some of the secondary objectives, and that's more what we were starting to talk about, is just Mike Brandt starts to break down the conversation of these new 18 CP at 3,000, the Strike Force, the Onslaught style battles. They said in another conversation we were starting to have on our 40K thread amongst the Warp Charge cats is just the point increase. They're apparently, in general, everything is going to go up in points, is the word on the street.
They basically said as much, almost verbatim. They said everything is going up in points. They said everything is going up in points. I think Intercessors are up something like 2 points a model. Chaos Cultists are up 2 points a model. They are now 6-point models.
Yeah, that's the only thing we know right now. That is literally the two profiles they showed us a new cost on for us to kind of get our expectations figured of what the rest of it will be like. 15 to 30% increase.
And that kind of means anything, because like a lot of units or everything supposedly is going up in points. Some stuff's going to go up more than other stuff, so the meta's going to get it's basically the same thing as a new chapter for as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Matt, I have not gotten to play 40K with you or talk 40K with you much, dude. What 40K armies do you have or play right now? And should we be playing 40K on Tabletop Simulator, my homie? I know that you wanted me to reach out to play some Warcry and Kill Team. Those just haven't been in my pool of desires lately. I haven't been too motivated to play Age of Sigmar either, to be honest. Right now, fucking, our headspace is all crazy, dude, with this 9th edition, like, who knows how long from now? A couple months from now? What, maybe 3? Like, what is anything anymore? It's hard to...
Dude, I don't know what anything is right now.
God.
I keep hearing crazy things.
I can't even... Be good again. Like, even the new book, I can't even be super excited about. I haven't played 40K since Kill Team came out. Well, what army do you have? And let's get you to play some 40K, bro. Massive Chaos Army. Okay, cool. All right, respect. Everything's cool. Wonderful. I thought you might have some Tyranids hiding around too. Matt's played everything for Kill Team though. I've seen him play fucking every army. I feel like it.
We mentioned secondaries as well. One interesting thing is that each secondary can be scored up to a max of 15 points, based off their own kind of blurb. Some of them, like Assassinate, it scores 3 points at the end of each battle for each enemy character slain, but some of them, such as Engage on All Fronts, are score 2 points at the end of your turn if you have one or more units. So, like, even your secondaries, they don't all scale the same. Like, we're currently in, like, ITC, it's like, oh, like, I killed a character, that's 1 point, which is the same thing as killing 20 models for Recon. It's like, you might be able to score some secondaries faster than others, because they scale in different increments. And additionally, in the mission they teased, they've said that they're giving units things called actions, which you do instead of shooting. All of the missions, I believe, at least in the one they teased called the 4 Pillars, you have the option to pick an action as a secondary objective. Like your units can do this, which is basically engineers as we know it.
Was it Chris and James? Was it Adepticon that did the choice? I'm pretty sure it was in their major GT packet. It was that you chose progressive or in-game scoring, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has an Adepticon-like element in this particular Four Pillars mission where you can either take a not kind of. It says you can. It's kind of more like what you're saying, like a fucking engineer style type situation.
It's unlocking possibly it's a mission specific secondary.
Yeah.
You can literally say, hey, like I'm gonna choose the secondary as well. That like it means that I feel like it gives a little bit more variance in the missions.
Yeah. It's like instead of bonus point, they made a more dynamic version of a scoring.
That's a very good point. I hadn't actually contemplated. There are no bonus points in any of these missions, or in the mission they tease.
I'm not seeing seize the initiative either, Chris.
I'm not seeing that either, though we don't know if that's going to be here or somewhere else or not at all.
Here comes night fighting, dude. Night fighting's who knows what's coming back there for some. One thing that we have barely gleaned on, and I think what's really going to be something that's more talked about when it hits the scene, and what I'm still very curious on how GW is going to roll all this out is, but the new app, dude. The new app, right when 9th edition, when pre-releases go up, I guess the app will go live, and you'll be able to build your armies with the new points. And if it's like the Azir app, I think it's something like $2 a month, so $12 a year, or whatever that fucking $24 a year. I don't mind paying for the Azir app. I think it's cool, but like, are people going to transition? Are they gonna? I don't think they're gonna have to transition for Battlescribe. Are they? I'm curious what the app's gonna be like. That's gonna make people want to transition, especially with the book integration and maybe real-time updated rules. Like if you buy the app version of the rules, is that going to guarantee you your FAQs and rewrites? There's just a lot of like newness there for GW to be providing us a 40K app, and promise for a long time.
Yeah.
I definitely plan to jump in and play with it. Is there any hesitation to do that on your guys' end, or?
No, I want to at least see it.
Yeah, for sure.
Same. I I wanna, give it a whirl. Battlescribe being, free. Obviously you can get the paid version. I think that's a big incentive for a lot of people, but simultaneously, like if Games Workshop can deliver an equal or better product, they will get downloads. They will have it used.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see that in action too. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy to be checking out all these new fucking point costs. But what about, Chris? Anything you know about New Forge World? Like, how is that going to be dropped upon us? Is that still something? Is that a book or what the fuck?
The only thing that they've told us is that now Forge World is getting written by the core Games Workshop rules writers. There is no longer a separate team for that, which speaks well simply because now we can expect them to be scaled on the same tier as 40K.
Yeah.
Because it always felt like the Forge World's rules writers were just like playing a different game.
I love the idea of it. I'm wondering do we have to wait all the way till we get the resurgence of the 9th edition rewrites of the codexes, or are they going to give us a Forge World book? We have no idea.
Don't know.
Yeah. Man, imagine how many more data sheets would be in a fucking codex if they had to include chaos, or include the data sheets of Forge World. I feel like they make more as a capitalist company and all that they're going to do the separate book thing and still keep it like very marketed as Forge World, while still just integrating the rules,
Also, from one of my other threads, I can confirm. I can't confirm, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I can. There's a new Primaris tank coming our way, or at least a new weapon option, because there was a blurry picture, kind of like they've been doing with a lot of releases. Someone noticed that there is a new hover kind of tank in the background of one of their new 40K pictures, and it looks like one of the Primaris tanks had a baby with a whirlwind. It has like the rockets on the back. It is a very blurry picture, but
yeah, I can't see shit. Are we looking at the red tank or the blue one?
the red one.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say
one,
I can tell the red thing is something I don't know what it is, but if we're looking at something in the back of that, I don't know what the fuck we're looking at.
Yeah, new models are coming.
Yeah.
Expect that.
Well, they sure as nobody's getting excited about new Marine shit. Get the hell off my lawn, GW.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. Like my people in the Tennessee thread were like, "Yeah, this tank is coming." I'm like, "Who cares?"
That is like I'm almost like at this point it's a joke and I'm insulted. Give us some fucking Xenos. The now talk about that new Necron shit. Now that's pimp. I even got pictures ready to show of that shit just because it's badass shit. Look at that stuff, man. Come on now.
They did give us a stat on the crazy like phase destroyer axes that the spider Necron Lord dudes are taking. The I don't know what they're called. The guy dead center of the picture you just have up on Facebook, the Necron Lord.
Yep.
With the axe thing. It is like a flat 3 damage, like -3 AP weapon as per 8th edition rules, and it's like +2 strength. So it's a heavy hitting weapon, but it's like one of those things where we know nothing about the platform. For all we know, that Necron Lord moves 2 inches a turn and has no deep strike. So it's like, it's cool, but let's see what it does.
Right.
It does everything, bro.
It opens cans. I don't know.
Dude, it makes love to baby.
I'm trying to show. I got a good picture of my new Ragnar. I was gonna show. He's looking. Oh, here we go. Check this out. I'm about to get rid of this Necron picture. Hiya. And yeah, look at this, friends. This is painted by my bro at Battlegrounds, who does a shit ton of paint clinics there whenever they open back up. Daniel Booth, he did a kick-ass job on this Ragnar model and one of the new GW sculpts, and we split the box so he could get the Gazgul up. Hopefully we're actually going to get a game on tomorrow. He's one of my Germ family buddies there, so go get a game on, have fun, think about some other shit. Did a great job on it, though. Some folks asked in the thread about Battlegrounds, and I know that we are just playing it safe, guys. Obviously, with everything that's been going on, have you seen how many fucking people have been all over each other, doing what needs to be done out there and fighting for the good fight? But there's a we're gonna have a second wave, friends, a big spike, and we're not trying to have any unsafe practices right now. You can currently get curbside from I think it's from like noon to 6. You can get a hold of Battlegrounds and get some gear, and I do encourage you to do so. Just call in or shoot them a Facebook message, and you can pick up curbside, and they can take orders and things like that. But the otherwise, though, as far as us doing some events and shit opening back up, all I can tell you is that it will happen, and it's just a matter of when it feels right. And having them, we're about to hit phase 2 where we can have like 50 people in a location. And I know like Fredericksburg, I think there's a GT going to pop off from our man. Some of our local friends here are going to be taking off to it and whatnot. Battlegrounds is playing it safe, and they're not going to go anywhere. And when it's time to bust those doors back open, Warp Charge Gaming will be there. And we're going to throw a bunch of fucking kick-ass events and do it right. And I can't wait. And I'm getting fucking anxious about it, I'll tell you that. But I'm also totally cool with doing the right thing and making sure we play our cards right. Yeah, but for now, lots of Tabletop Simulator. There's been plenty of that. Chris and I had fun this past weekend. I'm looking for more games. The Lord of Skulls list is super nasty. Lord of Skulls is stupid cheap, but nothing matters. Like, I don't even care. It's not 9th edition, dude.
All of it means gobbledygook. It's just like, oh, like for all we know, characters can be shot.
Yeah, come on. I would sure like to know that. I've definitely ran out of steam on like making more lists, and like we've all kind of, ever since all this has happened, we've all kind of like gone through the gamut of playing each other and the different list ideas we have. So it's all like, all right, you want to just talk it out before we even play? Okay, so let's say you go first. Like, I'm gonna hide. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good enough. Such not that interesting.
Is this table even relevant anymore?
Yeah. Is it? We were joking that if they did make it like a 6x3 table, that's one way to help combat out. Just make the board smaller.
The board.
Yeah, just make that fucking board smaller. There you go. The whole game is going to change. We're just going to play on a 4x4 from now on. Oh, okay. That'd be interesting.
I'm very curious about the new universal stratagems. You mentioned crossing board or whatever. For all we know, we're all getting a fight twice stratagem or a shoot twice stratagem. For all we know, we're getting a bonus movement stratagem. I mean, stratagems are powerful. Them just being like, hey, now your toolkit of stratagems goes from 3 to 4 universal stratagems to 9. That's big.
Yeah. Raw Thomas is asking if there's any tips for Iron Hands. I don't know if he means 8th or 9th style, but I kind of chuckled to myself because I was like, well, usually my tip for a Space Marine player would be to play Iron Hands.
Yeah.
What do you tell an Iron Hands player to do? It's either, what is it? You get your characters and you buff repulsors, or you make sure you have that Dreadnought in there, and yeah.
Some intercessors, they're great.
Kick ass and take names, man. Use your doctrines for 8th. Oh, he's got his local gaming opening up this weekend. None of us are great with fucking Marine expertise, to be honest. But I mean, usually we can only describe what kicks our ass. Doesn't Kevin Leonard play some Iron Hands for a time there?
He does.
He was whooping some ass in the ITC with some Iron Hands. Kevin, copy paste the fucking list for Raw, dude. Hook him up. I know you're out there. Yeah. You take those character guys, you take them Primaris thingies, and you fucking throw some repulsors down and shit, and you shoot.
Shoot.
Yeah. Chris is a fucking Tyranid player, Gene Stealer Colt. Fucking James is pure corn, and I play fucking Chaos and Space Wolves, dude. So it's death to the false emperor, man.
Woo!
But do wish you the best of luck, my friend.
Yeah.
That's
Use that invuln bubble. Use that feel no pain bubble. Profit.
Yeah.
Insert
assassins. Yeah. There was, if you get Best Coast Pairing, and then look at the Warp Charge Gaming Major that we had in February, and you can see a top tier Iron Hands list in there. Now I'm feeling motivated. Just, I don't see Kevin posting shit. Maybe I'll just go there myself right now. You know what I'm saying? We did this before. We can do it again, guys. Oh shit! Did we already hit an hour? We've gone an hour, dude.
Yes, we did.
Kicking that ass. All right. Well, we'll close out by helping. I could bust out my wolves. Ooh, wolves. What's tips for them? All right. Putting the iPad down. Much better topic. Use them litanies. Yeah, no doubt. All right. Quick shot. I love my fucking Space Wolf list, but I have gone to using a shooting element of the Relic Leviathan Dread because we have the Duty Eternal strat that still just cuts damage in half.
Unfaq'd.
Yeah, it's unFAQ'd. So any damage taken to the Relic Leviathan, cut it in half. He's got a 4-up invuln, toughness 8, 14 wounds, moves 8 inches. Take him. Take double Storm Cannon Array, or Storm Array, yeah. And then you're going to take 2 fucking Wolf Priest. One I take with a jetpack, one without. And the jetpack one is the guy that chases everybody around with the +2 to charge litany. They're both going to get to know the +1 to wound litany by default, as well as reroll hits in combat. The guy that's walking, you give him the Catechism of Fire for +1 to wound versus the nearest enemy in shooting. So you make your Relic Leviathan get +1 to wound when he shoots his strength 7 -2, 2 damage weapons, 24-inch range. Hey. And then, for taking a Relic Leviathan, you got to take another heavy support. So you take a couple. I take the Rapier Carriers by Forge World. They're like 75 points. Take some quad launchers, and it gives some great denial to engineers and fucking sappers, those backfield objective scorers. Take a couple of fucking mortars, basically, to compensate for taking the Relic Leviathan. But otherwise, bread and butter is Wolfen and a unit of Thunderwolf Cav. Take a max unit of 6 Thunderwolf Cav. Use the dude, I'm gonna bust out my fucking Space Wolf spreadsheet for you right now, and you can pause this shit or whatever on the back end and potentially utilize it. Let me see if I can get to it here without showing you too much personalized data.
Too late. He knows where you live.
I'm seeing some eliminators and shit coming from Kevin. I'm not into that Primaris bullshit. We're talking about Space Wolves, pure fucking. All right, here goes my little Space Wolf spreadsheet. Here we go. So look, check this out. Like I have a color coded here for the Thunderwolf Cav buffs. Take a max unit of 6. Make sure you're seeing this right. Yep. And they can Crushing Assault for 1 CP, and they can do mortal wounds on a 2+ when they charge in. The best one is Vicious Executioners, where 6s to wound cause mortal wounds on top of regular damage for 1 CP versus infantry. So you take Wolf Claws on your Thunderwolf Cav, and so they're re-rolling the wound with the guys that are riding the mounts. And then there's other ways to get reroll wounds, but basically you're fucking hitting 6s do mortals versus infantry, and then you can make your fucking Teeth and Claws do 2 damage. Badass as fuck. You can take down anything you want with that. So not only are you doing 2 damage on 6s with your fucking Teeth and Claws, add Canis in there, you're getting 4 attacks per dog with that. Okay, so yeah, bunch of Thunderwolf Cav buffs. Take fucking Wolfen, obviously. Take Murderfang, he's a badass, and now you can give him the Space Wolf strat to give him a Warlord trait, and you can make him advance and charge. That's super fucking dope. And then you can use the Duty Eternal strat on him, so that he only takes half damage. Of course, he's a character. But the coolest thing, of course, is be ready to pop your fucking 1 strat for 4+. Your characters get additional attacks. So when Ragnar busts in there, or Murderfang busts in there, or Bjorn busts in there, definitely take Bjorn, Murderfang, Ragnar, 2 Wolf Priests. Okay, guys, I'm getting excited. I'm sorry. I almost got it, though. 10 Wolfen, 6 Thunderwolf Cav, fucking Relic of Leviathan Dread, 2 Rapier Carriers, 2 Wolf Priests, Bjorn, and Murderfang. All right?
Wow.
And fucking 3 fucking Bloodclaw units and a drop pod. You got to get a battalion in there. You probably need. I go 1 battalion now. I ended up fucking shortening my CP load for offense. I did double battalions a lot of times in a row, and I will tell you, if you can watch all these fucking lists that I'm talking about right now, like the last 5 Space Wolf bat reps on Warp Charge Gaming. I'll just show full bat reps of me playing these versus some competitive armies. Fighting Chris many times. Chris has not been able to take down the Space Wolves, just saying.
They're good, and at least 2 of those games, I feel like I just basically castrated myself watching into the game. So, they are not an army that you can really go up against and make big mistakes against. They are very elite. In that they're not even super elite anymore. Like, you have so many invulns and you actually have board presence.
Yeah. Especially the Blood Claws. Kevin says he thinks his White Scars would put me in my place. I would like that fight, Kevin. Get your ass on TTS and let's fight, dude. I need a good challenger, and I would love to try to fight you.
Didn't you lose to a bunch of Seraptics?
Yeah, I did. We don't talk about that, Chris. We don't talk about that. Fucking Mike might be out there listening and laughing in his cup right now. But yeah, it's been a good episode, guys. We've talked about a lot of stuff, and it's past an hour. I hope you've enjoyed. Kevin, get tabletop. Let's get that challenge on, dude. Let's fight. And I would love to. I haven't got to fight new White Scars at all. James, he has TTS, but it didn't work very well when we tried it. We need to have a round 2 at making that work.
Yep.
It's some effort. But anyways, y'all, appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. And, keep taking fun seriously. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.